Hello friends, this video is being made because of the long standing demand from most of you on how should the preparations for FRCPATH part 2 be made. So I'll just go through my journey and I hope this will be useful to you guys. So FRCPATH is a complex exam. It's like our MD exams, like any other post-graduation. But the most important thing is that each and every component is important and has to be given due importance during the preparation stage. And because you have to pass all the components. So for me, I started my preparation back in July 2020. And I prepared extensively for almost 1.8 years, more than 1.5 years. You might not need that much time. It depends on individual confidence, individual circumstances, but I felt that I needed to give it a go when I am fully prepared. So when I started preparing, I started with the textbooks. I started reading the weaker topics which I felt I'm weak in and I need to go through them. I started reading them from Ackerman. Side by side, I also started looking at the Leeds website, the slides, and along with it also I started reading the data sets. So this whole thing, the Ackerman, the Leeds slide, and the data sets, I relied on them extensively. And also, like while reading the data sets, I made my own notes. I did not rely on the notes in the circulation. Now, this is individual for everybody. I rely on my notes. For some others, ready-made notes from from different sources are okay. But when I made my notes, I made it a point that I know what the data set is and how should, what should it mean to me. So that's how I looked at it, and I made my own notes. And regarding the Leeds cases, when I started, I started with writing the cases. Even if it's a simple case like a malakoplakia, I would write it down so that I know what are the brownie points I'm going to write. So what was told to me by one very senior colleague was that for each case you look at, you should be able to say at least 10 things. So I followed that strategy and it helped me a lot. For liver, because liver is a long case, I went through the Peter Schurer's textbook and I found it increased my grasp of the cases of liver. Renal, I just looked at Robbins. Many people are not in favor of Robbins, so textbooks and which textbooks to read is a very personal thing. Lymph nodes, I did from Diagnostic Hematopathology. I found WHO too complex, so I didn't go through it. I extensively used the website Pathology outlines because this is the most concise thing available as now. You can look at the images, you can get the brownie points from them, you can get a concise microscopy from it. So Pathology outlines was my go-to in the website all the time. In addition to Leeds, there are cases available on University of Michigan virtual pathology site. Then there are high yield cases on Path Presenter. So I looked through all of them, and in between, whenever I got to see the glass slides in my own department, I went across and did it. Data sets are very important. It's you have to read them thoroughly. There is no other way to go about it. For macros, I use the RCPA website, the cut-ups on the RCPA website, and I found it good. But I did not fret over the macros because data sets in itself give extensively how each grossing should be. So if you read data sets nicely, your macro gets covered up. Again, frozens. My only preparation for frozens was the routine frozens received in our department. I didn't do any special studies for frozens as such. And what is important in frozens is you should know what you mean by the diagnosis you are giving, and that's what they stress on the viva. So if you have said it benign, what does it mean for the patient? If you have called it malignant, what does it mean for the patient? So that you understand what you are saying and what you are communicating. For molecular, I use the molecular notes available online. That's molecular pathology for histopathologist. If you search across, a nice website comes up. It's a UK-based pathologist, and that is good enough. For OSPE oral, it's mainly admin problems, and we go through them day to day in our routine lives. I did not do any special preparation for it. Now, the focus on preparation will depend on what you are weaker in. You have to divide your timeline. Like I divided for the first year, I just looked at Leeds, I used YouTube videos, I would go to, uh, you know, uh, whatever was available to me just to increase my knowledge and to increase my diagnostic skills. Nearer to exam, I started going, dividing my time into so that I could put in maximum number of revisions. Like before when I applied for the exam, that was in December 2021. And from December 2021 to April 2022, when the final exam was, I divided into, like, I made 3 revisions during that time. The first revision was a slower revision for around 2 months, and then a rapid revision in 1 month, and close to exam, two more revisions in 15 days, so that, I am constantly reminding myself of what I have read. Regarding the courses, I mm, did the Vasi's 30 webinars, and they were quite helpful because I could gather myself up for whatever was coming and I could make use of it. So Vasi's webinars was helpful. I had done a mock with Aisha Azam as well, the Pathology Online Hub, and that was good. For the first time, I had done the mock even when I had just started preparing, so that would give me an idea where I'm standing. And I had just scored 27 in that first mock exam. So the second mock exam I gave after 3 to 4 months, and I could score 48. So now I knew that yes, from here, it's going to get better. So that's how I did it. The last 1 month is very important because that's when most of us, either fizzle out or most of us feel too much stressed out. But there's nothing to get stressed across. One thing, this exam is just a passport to UK. It is nothing else. It does not tell that you're good or you are bad. And some people who just do it for an additional degree back in whatever country you are. I don't know if it helps. I passed my exam here in UAE. Nobody even asked me. It doesn't mean anything to them that I did it. It's just a passport to UK. So if you're going to UK, yes, this is the exam. And if you fail it, it doesn't mean anything. So most people take it personally, and I've seen people taking it very personally when they failed. But no, this exam is just a passport to UK, and so they are very strict about it. The last 1 month is very important. Read and reread what you have already read. Do not read any new thing. Secondly, see as many cases as possible from wherever you can. It can be your senior giving you 20 slides to go and see, okay, tell me what is the diagnosis, or you giving a mock to yourself, or seeing the cases in group study, all of these things, anything. So just see as many, because the exam is more about your diagnostic skills. Many people, before I went for exam, would say that the diagnosis is very important, but from my personal experience, there were many cases in the exam I could not give a final diagnosis, yet I passed. Because it's the way you approach the case which is more important rather than your final diagnosis. Like if you have a hemangioma, if you have a vascular lesion, a malignant vascular lesion, but you are not able to very comfortably call it, but you have called it malignant, and you are able to at least point out that maybe it is vascular in a region, but this is what I see, I'm going to put. So that's how it is. And the day of the exam is very important because that's where most people again get stressed out. See, in the exam, the time limit which is given there is good enough for you to diagnose and to write up. You have to practice. You have to practice it beforehand. You cannot practice on the exam day. So when you practice, time yourself up that whether you are able to write it. Some people like seeing both the slides together and then writing it. I felt I'll forget. So I would time myself one case, write it up, time finish, next case. So that's how I did it. It's all very personal, and everyone has to find their own way of doing it. Um, Again, the 10-minute slot. You have seen the slide, forget it, move on to the next case. You know you have done it wrong. It happened with me. The very first case of cytology, I know I messed it up, but forget it, move on. There are 7 other cases, you can very well cover it up. So, just forget the last case, gone, and move on to the next case. Regarding cytology, there are a limited number of cases which can come, so don't fret about them. Just prepare and see as many things as you can in cytology. I know there are not much resources in cytology, but even if you keep seeing those 15 or 20 cases again and again, it's going to get better and better each time. Again, for long cases, liver, renal, lymph node, and we had a soft tissue, one of the cases. So, what are the expected soft tissue cases? Go through the previous, not soft tissue, long cases, go through the previous exams, and you will almost cover up everything. Go through the previous papers on Leeds. Maybe before you start, give yourself a mock, and you know where you will stand, and then from take it as a starting point, and then move ahead. So it's not a difficult exam, it's just a test of your diagnostic skills, and you do diagnosis, you make diagnosis each day. So all the best, and please, you can feel free to contact me if you have any queries. Thank you so much.